And we're live. Okay, so hopefully the audio is coming through correctly. I see that two of you are here already. Let me know if you can hear me well. Adi Hex, hi, let me know if you can hear me well. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep it short. I mean, around 30 to 40 minutes. What I want to go through in this live stream is the recent applications that are being published every freaking day. So yesterday I looked and it was only like I mean, it's like every day are being published more and more applications when it comes to GPT-3. So, a little bit of a background here. Um, GPT-3 is an AI language model that has been trained on a very large data set, and it's actually able to perform incredible things. So I've been talking about GPT-3 and GPT Neo in my previous live streams. I've actually shown how I code. I don't think I've shown how I coded this, but maybe we'll get through a live coding session in the future. This is not too difficult because this is actually built with Streamlit. But anyways, this is I'm very focused on language models right now because I believe they can provide extremely helpful insight into the vast ocean of data that we're currently swimming in. So when it comes to GPT-3, this AI algorithm or this AI language model has been used and is being currently used to build all sorts of AI-powered applications. Now, the access is not fully open to the API, so you can only get in by invitation or by so they actually provide access on an invitation basis. So you have to go and request. You have to go on their website and actually request for access. And if you're lucky, I guess, or if your application is I don't know, if they like it, they'll probably give you access. So right now I have access to the OpenAI GPT-3, and we'll be doing a lot of videos, a lot of live videos on the World of X channel in the near future, because this is a very special focus of mine right now. So before we get started with all these applications, which are probably more than 100 right now, I guess, and all of them are interesting, maybe we'll get only through a few of them which are live right now. I just want to show, so aside of GPT-3, I'm also studying and working with GPT Neo from Eleuther AI. Now, Eleuther AI is sort of like has been providing GPT Neo as an alternative, as an open source alternative language model to GPT-3. So they, unlike GPT-3, which has been trained on data up to 2019, GPT Neo has been trained on a data set that's highly curated, and 800 gigabytes of 800 gigabytes data set that let me actually show it. It's called the pile, and I've actually made a review of this paper. So I've done a part 1 review reading of the paper, and we'll get into part 2 of the paper because it's like 39 pages. So this data set is extremely well curated, and it consists of quite a few sources of high quality information. And the model, the GPT-3 AI, GPT Neo AI in this case, actually learns from this data, and if you know how to ask it, it can provide amazing insight from all of this information. And it only has 2.7 billion parameters. Unlike GPT-3, GPT-3 has 175 billion parameters, so it's like an order of magnitude higher. And GPT-3 has been trained on a lower quality data, but has been able to provide much better insight than GPT Neo. So the question that I keep asking, what happens when GPT-3 with its 175 billion parameters is being trained on the pile? I think the implications are extremely huge, extremely huge. And if the folks at OpenAI are not going to train the next iteration of GPT on a better quality data set, I think Eleuther AI is planning to scale their GPT Neo 2.7 billion to more than 100 billion parameters, and that's probably going to provide a far better experience or far better performance of the model of GPT Neo, and it's probably going to be compared with GPT-3. So anyways, we have two language models here. Now, GPT-3 is amazing. With 175 billion parameters, you can use it for a hell lot of amazing things. Now, what you can use it for? Okay. You can use it for this was only a showcase, so a search engine where for any query you can ask them anything. As you can see, this has been published on July 26, 2020, and this has not even actually been published, but it's just a tweet by someone, and I don't think that they provided a link to. It only says I made a fully functioning search engine, but it doesn't provide any links, so this is kind of useless. And ask me anything. I think you can ask Google, but if you're able to actually know how to query GPT-3, I think it provides far better answers than Google. So they've used GPT-3 to pattern match in Google Sheets to auto-populate information, philosophical completion, Spanish poetry, command line helper, HTML generator. Now this might be some sort of a useful resume generator, maybe. What else? No code AI. Yeah, so this actually generates AI models. Let's see. By taking the desired output and data set description. So this is just another tweet. No code AI. Anyway, useless. Let's go back. Can use it in amazing ways. Yeah, well, we're actually looking through that. And probably, let's see. We were here, and we should probably go faster through these. Financial statement generator. This might be useful. App generator. So these were July 2020. Paraphrase your what you write. Chart generator. Learn from anyone. Business writing. Now people have been building businesses on top of GPT-3, and the most applications that I've seen have a lot to do with content generation. And speaking of which, I have been using not GPT-3 but GPT Neo. So I like GPT Neo because it's trained on much better data compared to GPT-3, but like I said, it doesn't have as many parameters, so it doesn't fare too well. But if you play with the parameters and know how to prompt it correctly, I mean, depending on what you want, you can get a lot of amazing stuff from it. So in this case, I've actually generated some sort of fictional story by only providing it one day in the not too distant future, and it came up with a really interesting narrative. And today I did another one. So this is my Substack. My Substack in this case, it's called By Christie, and this is actually I'm using my Substack as an extremely rapid way of pushing my thoughts, notes, and ideas. So instead of using my blog where I have to go, and it might be a little bit tedious to write a WordPress blog post, but in this case, it's very fast to actually write a post on Substack. And in this case, today I've published another short AI essay generated by GPT Neo, and I've only provided it this: when CRISPR-Cas9 edited humans populate the Earth. And then it came up with the subtitle, the world has a lot more than enough of our DNA to fill it with. It's interesting, and that it came up with this entire narrative up until so here. So if you read it, it's interesting, but I'm going to provide some sort of the same input to GPT-3, and I'm curious to see how coherent it's going to sound, because I'm going to try to provide it. I'm going to try to ask it not to fantasize, but to actually some sort of envision a future, a near future. So it's going to be interesting. Stay tuned for that, and be sure to look out on this on my Substack. Okay, now back to these. Still, so this is July 2020 painting. Generative stories. Their AI generated model with a story that is generated. Now that's another tweet, so we're not interested in tweets. We are interested in applications that run. Let's look at this. Non-human stories. Clever girl. Visual poetry. So as you can see, many applications have a lot to do with generating content. AI teaching assistant. This is an application. Creative story writing. Shortly, I think this is actually a real business. Email generator. Prompt AI. TLDR this, and I think I have this one here. We're going to look at it in a moment. Document extraction. GPT-3 books. This is actually a very good showcase of a GPT-3 application. I don't know why some people say that it's very difficult for them to actually say GPT-3 because it's not a mouthful. I think GPT-3, you can say it like really fast. Self-typing keyboard, resume builder, storyline creator, not interesting. AI copy assistant, not interesting. Wisdom, maybe, I guess. So this is already March the 3rd, 2021, a couple of weeks ago. Philosopher AI. Alright, now we'll be looking into these shortly. Hey Mahesh, what's going on? Well, guys, or Mahesh, if you're still here, if you have questions, shoot them here. Okay, so Wisdom by GPT-3, not another tweet. We're not interested in tweets. Visual poetry, this leads to Twitter. We're not interested in tweets. Another tweet. We're interested in applications, not in tweets. Creative story writing. Shortly Read app integrates GPT-3 for creative writing assistance. Check out the demo video. No. Now this one. I've looked at it. I've actually looked at it last night. So book recommendations powered by OpenAI, and for some reason it didn't work. And I talked to the creators, and they say that it's working for them. So let's actually ask for suggest a book about machine learning, and then I'm not a robot. And we should see the result, but it kept hanging last night. So if it's still hanging, it means it's not working. We'll be waiting for a little while. But this is interesting. I think I could do this in the playground, but we'll be looking more into the playground in future live streams. Let's actually open this example in the playground. You have factual answers. Let's do Q&A. And let's actually ask what's a good read? What's a good book to read on machine learning? Let's see if it comes up with the real title. Now, in this case, we can set the response length, the temperature, the top P. Now, temperature and top P actually control the output. We'll be looking into this in the future, but for now, let's see what it generates once I click submit. Just a second, turning off the nightlight here. And we don't need 100 word response length, we'll need just 40. And we have the most powerful engine, which is DaVinci. Let's do submit. Without showing probabilities. So Machine Learning by Tom Mitchell is a good book. Let's see if this book actually exists. Do a Google search. Geez, it actually exists. Let's actually ask, what's a good recent book? What's a good recent, let's be even more specific. What's a good 2015 book to read on machine learning? Even though 2015 it's so like 5 decades ago when it comes to machine learning, because the field is advancing like extremely fast. Let's see what it says. Jeez. Did it actually get the Authors, dang, originally published 2015. How about some cybersecurity stuff? So this most recommended doesn't work, but it's a really good website, not necessarily as a GPT-3 showcase, but actually as a aggregator for the books that have been recommended by all of these people. So make sure to check it out. Now, getting back to this, let's actually ask it on cybersecurity. I'm not sure if you understand the implications of this or how amazing this stuff is, but I'll just let it sink in. So it got the authors correctly: Peter Singer, Alan Friedman, and it was quite close when it comes to the year, but maybe some version of this book has been published in 2015. Interesting. And in this case, to actually get this sort of output, this sort of a very specific output from GPT-3, you have to actually provide it context. And this is actually the context or the prompt that GPT-3 has been provided, because GPT-3 knows a hell lot of stuff, and you can ask it anything, but you need to know how to ask it. You need to provide the context for what you want to get out of it. And in this case, it has been prompted to give factual, real-world answers. If you would want GPT-3 to come up with a fantasy story, you'd have to provide a different context and maybe play with these parameters over here. So we're actually going to go in more details into the prompt, which I think... So I was just bragging about... how a lot of jobs are going to be replaced by AI in the near future and even right now. So if you want to kind of future-proof yourself, a good job that you might want to look into that's actually going to be a job is a prompt engineer. So to read more about prompt engineering, I would actually suggest you look into Gwern.net's website here. And as you can see, prompts as programming. I'm actually looking into this. So this is something for the future, and this is something for the present moment. Definitely look into this, and definitely also look into language models. If you know machine learning, I would suggest you do the sequence model course from the deep learning specialization on Coursera. If you don't know anything about deep learning or machine learning, I would suggest starting with the machine learning specialization from Coursera. Or maybe actually start with Andrew Ying's machine learning course, which is the most popular one. So if you know nothing about machine learning and you have some solid understanding of math, because it's heavy math in this case, and statistics and probability, if you have that prerequisite already filled, go into the course. You should also know a little bit of a Python. Once you finish this course, you can slightly progress into the deep learning specialization, which is 5 courses. Now I've already done the four of them, and I'm actually doing the last one right now, and then I'm going to have the specialization. Now these are the neural networks and deep learning, so this is also having Python and Jupyter notebooks. Then you're improving deep neural networks by learning how to tune the hyperparameters, how to do regularization and optimization. Then you have some projects which is really hands-on. Then you have convolutional neural nets, which I think are still the hype. And then finally you have language models. In this case you have sequence models. And in the sequence models course, the final week is on transformer networks, transformer models, which is what I'm really interested right now. I'm deep into transformer models. Now, going back to our list of applications here. How many? So we're already 30 minutes in. Philosopher, AI, Wisdom by GPT-3. Now this is actually really simple to code. I think these are the idea behind all of these applications is the prompt. If you're able to provide a correct prompt, it's gonna spit out whatever you want. So I would say I would prompt it to give me some quotes from great philosophers via an API call, and then I would actually show it on the web interface. And this can very easily be done using some sort of a web application builder like Streamlit in Python, which is extremely easy to use. And you can look into my previous live streams on how I built an application using Streamlit, a web application using Streamlit, and this one, the GPT Neo Playground, is also built using Streamlit. We'll probably get into it in future live streams. Now, GPT Earth, this is probably another aggregator of GPT applications. I think I've said GPT in this live stream for like 100 times. Source AI, GPT-3 code generator, virtual ghostwriter, circle powered. We make shapes that can't talk. Ideas AI, TLDR papers, it's here. Healthcare chatbot, blog idea generator. It's probably very easy to code. A lot of email related applications. Also marketing related applications. Here's another one, Enzyme, the fastest way to build websites without code. Viable. So this is also for marketing. Virtual assistant, Nimble AI. Write high quality LinkedIn connection request notes. Lila, I think I have it here. Yeah, so we'll be looking into that. Thunder Content AI to write, helps devs write documentation. Now another job that's going to be disrupted. Jarvis, a lyrics writing AI companion that helps overcome writer's block. Reviewer, intelligent product review aggregation. I can only think of fake reviews here. Magnum, I've looked into this today. Epsilon code. So that's why I said today in a tweet that it's not worth studying or learning code in 2021 unless you learn code about machine learning or how to debug machine learning. Because if you look into this epsilon stuff, you just tell him, like, let's go here. Ask user for path to an image, convert it to grayscale and save it as gray.png. And this is what GPT-3 does. It actually generates the code. There you have it. No more developer jobs. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but I don't think I'm very far from what's going to happen. Source AI is probably something similar. Generate code in any programming language. Now, here's how that might look like here. Let's actually set the response to 130. Let's actually do lower temperature. In this case, it would be more factual and more and less fiction. So it would be more precise. Let's set it to 0.2. And let's say if I want to create a NumPy array in Python, the code for that is, and let's see what we get. Import NumPy as np, and then you create an array, a equals np array. If you want to create a NumPy array in Julia, so yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now let's see about the DaVinci Instruct Beta engine, which supposedly will be better than DaVinci, I think. And now let's redo that. Very similar. So you see, if you're able to provide this prompt, and in this case, I believe these like code generators, GPT-3 code generators, work by actually replacing some stuff here. So it says if I want to create, and then you have the user input here, and then you have another user input here for the language, and then you have the code is, and then you have the output. So this is how it would actually look like. And then you would send a request. You would send a request to your GPT-3 using your API key with all of these parameters set specifically, and then you would have the output posted on the website. So it's like, it's extremely freaking easy to write a code like this. The only and I'm not exaggerating here, and the only probably the most complex thing that you would have to figure out is the parameters, because the rest you can build a very quickly or very fast an application using Streamlit, and then you can interact with APIs using curl, for example. Like we have the documentation here. If we look into the documentation, you have like examples. Let's see. I don't even have to do that. If we go back here into the playground, you can simply request export the code, and this is how it looks like. With curl or with Python, and you just copy this and then you put it into your application here, into Streamlit, and you output. You see where you get the response, you output the response into your web application. So this is not too difficult to implement. And I have an example here. Calculate factorial of number given by user. Import math. Let's see. We can do this. DaVinci, let's set it to 2.2. Let's give it a response of 150 tokens. Calculate factorial of a number given by user. How would you ask it to give it the response in Python? The Python code to calculate factorial number, to calculate the factorial of a number given by the user is, let's see what we get. Def factorial n. So it actually defines a function. If n equals 0, return 1, else return n times factorial n minus 1. And what did they do here? Yeah, but in this case, I didn't ask for user input. So it doesn't give me the entire code. But I could manipulate the prompt here to actually get what they get here as the generated code. So you see, I'm getting back to what I said. Prompt engineering is going to be a job. And it already is. It already is, because people, coders, you don't even have to be a coder to be able to do that. You just have to have some sort of logic thinking skills. You can develop that. Okay. 41 minutes. Let's just go to these open tabs here and then call it a day. GPT-3 powered boats. We make shapes that can talk. Shapes with personalities, edges, and corners. Product hunt, not interested. Ideas AI, this is already implemented. But it's sort of like this is like a static website. You don't actually get to 0 ideas generated today. 11,000 generated so far. A startup that lets companies track their employees' movements in and out of the office using GPS. I think this is already implemented. I mean, I think this is what many companies do. A tool to help teams of all sizes manage the entire process of getting a patent from an idea. There might be some gems in here. But anyway, if you have access to GPT-3, you can just prompt it to give you some sort of a breakthrough idea for the next big product. GPT-3 blog idea generator. I think I've looked into this today. So enter your topic here. Let's say code language to learn in 2021. Now, do know that GPT-3 has been trained on data up to 2019, so curious to see what's gonna say here. And these guys actually have pricing, so while the idea is generating, we can look at the pricing. So they ask for $99 a month, and the tokens that have been used to generate this idea, let's see how many, let's actually estimate the number of tokens here. So let's say that the prompt has 500 tokens, and then this output is another 300 tokens. Now this, to actually run this in GPT-3, it would probably cost, so let's say we have 800 tokens in total. And 800 tokens with the most expensive engine DaVinci, would mean so yeah, I said 800 tokens. Now price per 1000 tokens is 6 cents, $0.06. Okay, so 800 tokens would be $0.04 approximately with DaVinci, if they're using DaVinci. So 0.04 for an idea. And they're charging $100 a month. And it says that they give you 10 content briefs and optimizations. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate if the guys that have created this this website are actually watching the live stream, but think of it. They ask $100 a month for 10 ideas, when 10 ideas in actuality can cost 60 cents at maximum. Let's say not even maybe let it cost $5. But it's never gonna cost $5, even with the most powerful engine. So $5 versus $100. What do you call this? Opportunistic, of course. Now, the fastest way to build websites without code. So I could simply say, the HTML code for a simple one-page website for a product showcase is, now I am providing the extremely most basic prompt here, so I don't expect any result, any good result. But with refining the little parameters that you can play with here, and with the prompt, of course, you can probably get what you want. And this is actually what they're doing here. Let's see. So it actually gives you the backbone. And it only gives you the HTML code, exactly what I've asked for. But with a better prompt, you can get what you want. Now I can be even more specific. The HTML code for a red button labeled hit me is, and then we delete this entire output. Of course, it repeats itself because the response length is 150. So this is, let's look HTML parser online. It's not blue. It's not red. What if we say the code? Or the stylized HTML code? Let's set the response to 50, and let's actually set the engine to the most powerful one. Generate. What if we say HTML CSS? So you can probably get the response that you want by properly engineering your prompt. Interesting. Is this all? I'm curious what would happen. You have the background color, this one. Let's see what this one means. That's blue. What about this one? Still, it's the same color. Anyways, I guess you get the point. So create web apps just by explaining them in plain text. The same thing, and they're hiring. Okay, I'm not gonna talk bad about them because I might be looking into this later on. Magnum, it is an open source toolkit to turn math problems into elegant video animations. I've posted about this on Twitter today. It is an open source toolkit. They use Wolfram, GPT3, and Magnum. Do we have a showcase? Circles in complex plane. So this is called Magnum. Creating math animations. All right. Okay. So I believe this is it for today's stream, but I'm expecting to have similar streams in the very near future, because more and more applications are published every day with respect or written on GPT-3, and I might be publishing one myself, not on the GPT Neo, but on GPT-3, maybe with some sort of a twist, or maybe we'll actually write an application from scratch with GPT-3 in future videos, depending on how much interest I get into this stuff. So yeah, I see there are no questions here, but the implications, what I want to point out here, that the implications and the applications are far beyond imagination, and I don't think that anyone can grasp these implications right now. These language models are without the shadow of a doubt amazing, and having 175 billion parameters in theory is mind-boggling. And if with 175 billion parameters and a relatively decent quality data set that OpenAI has trained GPT-3 on can do this, imagine what it can do if you train it on the pile data set, on the high quality pile data set. I don't even want to think about it. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing not only OpenAI, but some sort of a competition to OpenAI, like, for example, Eleuther AI. I'm expecting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them publish models that have been trained, published iterations or versions of GPT Neo with 100 billion parameters trained on the pile dataset. I am really looking forward to that, because we're gonna experience some solid, extremely fast improvements in all areas of life. And again, I'm not exaggerating. That being said, I'm going to end the stream.